a lot of people are curious, what's the maximum Social Security check anybody in the United States can receive? And more importantly, how do we go about getting a check like that? And as I record this video, we're fortunate because the Social Security Administration just a couple days ago released these numbers for 2025, and I'm going to share them with you. I'm getting this data from their 2025 fact sheet. And let's jump in. Before I talk about the maximum, more of us are going to get closer to the average monthly check, and that changes every month with the Social Security Administration, but they are estimating that in 2025, the average Social Security check will be just under $2,000 a month at $1,976. Okay, but let's jump in. Let's talk about the maximum here. And first we need to understand, how is Social Security payments, how are those calculated? Because if you have two people, let's say they're neighbors, and one person's earning twice as much as their neighbor, it does not mean that that person making more money, their Social Security check is going to be twice as great. In fact, it will be much closer to each other than most people realize. And the reason for that is the Social Security Administration uses something called bend points. And it's kind of the great equalizer between people to make sure that at least we're covering the bare necessities for somebody's living expenses, the roof over their head, the food on their table, things like that. So these bend points are for your average monthly earnings over a 35-year period. So if you take all of your earnings and you take the average of that, for the first $1,226, you're going to get 90% of that. So that's the taxable earnings that you earned over that 35-year period. 90% of that. Then you get 32% of the next about $6,000. And then you get 15% above that 1,226 plus the $6,000. So let's call it $7,400. So you get 15% of everything above $7,400 until you reach the salary cap where you're no longer paying Social Security tax, which in 2024 was $168,600 a year. 2025, that's going to get to $176,100. So this is why two people that earn, one person earns twice as much as the other, their Social Security check might be 30 or 40% higher than their neighbors, but it's very unlikely that it's going to be double what their neighbor's receiving. Okay, so going back to that Social Security Administration, their fact sheet, taking these bend points into consideration, the maximum payment, now this is at full retirement age, so for most of us that's going to be 66 or 67 years old, somewhere between those two. The maximum payment is $4,018 or right around $48,000 a year, but stick with me because there's really two other important maximums that I want to talk about, and then we're going to talk about what it takes to earn this. So the other maximum is, what if you don't want to work to your full retirement age? Most of us are going to qualify for Social Security when we hit 62. So if you don't want to keep working until your full retirement age, you can take your Social Security early, but you're going to lose 5 to 7.5% every year that you take it early before full retirement age, such that at 62 years old, you're going to get 70% of that full retirement age. So 70% of that $4,018 is $2,812. And so that's the maximum you can receive if you retire at 62. And that's right around $34,000 a year. But what happens if you wait past your full retirement age? Up until 70, every year that you wait, you get an additional 8%, maxed out at 1.24% of your full retirement age benefit. So if instead of that $4,018 at your full retirement age, if you wait to 70, we multiply that $4,018 by 1.24, we get almost $5,000 a month, $4,982. So those are the three maximums. Truthfully, there's an infinite number of maximums depending on when you retire, but the important ones I think are 62, the soonest you can get it, then your full retirement age, and then 70. Now importantly, how does one go about getting that maximum payment? Well, first, you're going to have to, in order to do that, you're going to have to reach that maximum taxable wage in every year for 35 years. So there's very, very few people that have a work history like that, because the Social Security Administration takes our 35 highest earning years and then averages those together. So it adds up all of those, and 35 years is 420 months. So it takes those 35 years and it indexes them for inflation to today's dollars. Then it divides those by 420 to get our average income monthly earnings. It's called AIME, A-I-M-E, your average income, average indexed monthly earning. And the index is just indexed for inflation. So first you got to work 35 years and have hit that maximum taxable amount. And then you also, to get the maximum, you have to wait not just to your full retirement age, but you have to wait till 70. Now to get your maximum at 67, you need those earnings years. And then you also need to wait until you're at full retirement age. So that's how we go about doing that. Now, what happens if you retire early? We talked about if you retire at 62 instead of your full retirement age. But what if you want to retire at, let's say, 55? Well, again, Social Security is going to take our 35 highest earnings years, index those for inflation, and then it's going to take an average of that. So if you've already got 35 years where you've made a nice salary, two things. It's not going to hurt you as much. Where people get hurt is when they don't have 35 years of good earnings history, where maybe they've only worked 30 years, or maybe they didn't start making money until like the last 25 years, so they have 10 years at a low wage. But if you've been earning good money up until the age you decide to retire, like in this case at 55, now you got to wait to 62 to retire. But as long as you've got your 40 quarters in order to qualify for Social Security, and you can see all of this on ssa.gov, then, and you've got those 35 years of high earnings, it's not going to hurt you as much. And particularly, remember those bend points I talked to you about, the 90% of the first 1,226, then 32% of the next $6,165. Those are based on monthly earnings. And above and beyond that, it's only 15%. So people are often surprised at how little of an impact it's going to be if they retire on their Social Security, if they retire at 55 instead of waiting until their full retirement age. And if you like this video, you'll probably like this video up here that goes more in depth on retirement income. This is the average income for retirees in the United States. Thanks for watching this video.